The cold wind whipped through the train station, rattling the benches and stirring the scattered newspapers on the ground. She huddled in her thin coat, clutching a worn backpack, invisible to most of the bustling commuters who hurried past. Life had been unkind, leaving her with nowhere to go and no one to turn to. Just when she thought another day of loneliness and uncertainty was inevitable, she heard tiny voices calling out to her, "You need a home?" "And we need a mommy," said the twin girls, their eyes wide and full of hope. In that moment, everything froze around Hertha. Two little girls, strangers to her life, were offering something she hadn't felt in years, a chance to belong, a glimmer of family. Who were these girls? Why were they alone at the train station, and how did they know she was the one they were waiting for? As the woman knelt down to speak to them, the world seemed to hold its breath. Their innocent plea would change everything, but was she ready to open her heart again? The answer was just out of reach. Hanging in the balance, the woman's hands trembled slightly as she reached out, her eyes scanning the twin girls' faces. Something about their bright, trusting eyes stirred a long-buried warmth inside her, but fear crept in just as quickly. She hadn't felt safe in years. And yet, here were two little souls, strangers, depending on her in a way that felt almost magical. She remembered the days before life had turned upside down, the small apartment she once called home, the steady paycheck, the simple routines that no longer existed. Everything had slipped away after a series of bad choices, bad luck, and one cruel twist to many. Now, sleeping on benches, surviving on scraps, she had grown used to being invisible. But these girls saw her, really saw her, and it both terrified and thrilled her. "Where are your parents?" she asked softly, her voice cautious. But the girls only shook their heads. "We don't have any," one whispered, her tiny hand gripping her twins. The words hit her harder than she expected. Why were these children alone? Why were they waiting for her? And how could fate or whatever strange force had brought them together be trusted? She wanted answers, but the train station seemed to stretch endlessly, as if hiding secrets she wasn't ready to face. The woman knelt closer, her coat brushing against the cold floor, as the twin girls clung to each other. Something about their small, fragile forms made her heart ache. She could see the sharp contrast between their innocence and the harsh world they were facing alone. Each glance at them reminded her of her own lost childhood, the dreams that had slipped away while the world moved on without her. "Are you sure it's safe for you to be out here?" she asked, glancing around at the bustling station, the faces rushing past, some curious, most indifferent. The girls' heads nodded eagerly, their voices tiny but firm. "We waited for you," one said, as if she had been expecting the woman all along. That sentence made her stop cold. How could they know about her? It was almost as if fate had a hand in this meeting, but that thought made her uneasy. Her mind raced with questions. Why were the girls alone? Where were their parents or whoever was supposed to protect them? And how could she, a woman barely holding her own life together, become a protector for them? A spark of hope flickered in her chest, but it was shadowed by fear. She wanted to help, she truly did, yet every instinct screamed caution. Something about this encounter felt bigger than chance, and as the girls waited expectantly, the woman realized that her life and theirs was about to change forever. The woman's heart pounded as she looked down at the twins, their small hands clutching hers like lifelines. Around them, the station buzzed with life, people rushing, announcements echoing, trains screeching, but in that moment, it felt as if the world had shrunk to just the three of them. Every instinct screamed caution, yet something deeper, something she couldn't name, urged her to trust these girls. A sudden noise made her flinch, a commotion near the ticket gates. A man's voice shouted, sharp and urgent, and the twins stiffened, glancing around nervously. "We have to go," one whispered, her voice trembling. The woman's mind raced. Were they running from someone? Or something? She wanted to ask, to understand, but fear and uncertainty tightened around her like a vice. She could feel the weight of responsibility pressing down, heavier than anything she had carried before. Protecting them would mean risking everything she had left: her safety, her freedom, even her fragile hope. And yet, the thought of letting them face the world alone was unbearable. Time seemed to slow as the girls looked up at her, eyes pleading, expecting her to make a choice. A train whistle blared in the distance, sharp and urgent, as if signaling that a decision had to be made, one that could change all of their lives forever. The tension in the air was almost suffocating, and the moment hung on the edge of a knife, teetering between safety and disaster. Just as the woman took a tentative step forward, deciding she couldn't leave the girls alone, a shadow fell across the platform. A woman's voice, sharp and commanding, pierced through the station noise. "There you are." The twins froze, their hands tightening around hers. The woman turned, her heart leaping into her throat, and saw a figure hurrying toward them, an older woman, but with a presence that made the hair on her arms stand on end. "Those girls don't belong here," the newcomer shouted, and for a split second, the twins seemed paralyzed, caught between fear and defiance. The woman's mind spun. Who was this person? A relative, someone from the authorities. And why did the twins' eyes flicker with both recognition and terror at the sight of her? Before she could react, the twins whispered urgently, "Don't let her take us." Their voices carried a weight that made her stomach churn. It was clear the girls were hiding something that could explain why they had been alone at the station, why they had sought her out, and why danger seemed to trail them like a shadow, her decision now carried even higher stakes. Protecting them might mean defying the law, facing someone far more dangerous than she had imagined. The train station, once just a cold, lonely place, now felt like the center of a storm, and she was caught right in the middle. The woman's heart raced as the older woman closed the distance, her eyes sharp and calculating. The twins clung to her tightly, their small bodies trembling, and for a moment she felt the weight of the entire world pressing down. "Stay back," she shouted, stepping in front of the girls. The station seemed to hold its breath as the three of them faced off against the approaching stranger. Then the older woman paused, her expression softening but not in the way the woman expected. "You don't understand," she said, voice low but urgent. "I've been looking for them, but they're not just ordinary children. They hold the key to something very important. People will come after them if they're not protected." The twins' eyes widened, and the woman realized the truth. The danger wasn't random, and her instinct to protect them was more than just compassion, it was survival. With a sudden decision, she grabbed the twins' hands and led them toward the nearest exit, weaving through the crowd as the older woman followed, neither harming nor stopping them, but clearly keeping a watchful eye. Outside, the cold night air hit them, sharp and liberating. For a moment, they were free, together. Just as relief began to settle, one of the twins whispered, "Mommy, they'll find us." The woman froze. In the distance, a faint figure emerged from the shadows, watching. Their journey wasn't over. It had only just begun. The woman took a deep breath, holding the twins close as they walked down the quiet streets, the city lights flickering around them. The fear and uncertainty that had shadowed her life for so long seemed to lift slightly with every step. She realized that this unexpected encounter had given her something she hadn't dared to hope for, a chance to belong, a purpose beyond surviving day by day. The twins chattered softly, telling her small stories about themselves, about their dreams and wishes, and she listened, feeling a warmth she hadn't known in years. Their innocence and courage reminded her that even in the hardest times, hope could bloom in the most unexpected places. They weren't just children in need. They were a reminder that love and trust could heal wounds too deep to see. By the time they found a safe place to rest for the night, the woman felt a quiet determination settle in her heart. She would protect them, nurture them, and together, they would rebuild a family of their own. Life had thrown them all into the unknown, but now, there was promise in every small step forward. And though the shadows of the past still lingered, she knew one thing for certain. They had each other, and that was enough to face whatever came next.